Okay, welcome back. This is Mr. Hassan's Maths channel. I'm now going to be going through question number 2 from the February-March 2022 IGCSE paper 4 from Cambridge International Exams. This is 0580. This question here is about graphs of functions. And here, first of all, they gave us a table of values for the graph of y equals x squared minus 1 over 3x, where x can't be 0, otherwise it will be undefined. And the y values have been rounded to one decimal place. So we've got to complete the table. So I've got to fill in these missing values. So I think the easiest thing to do here is, there's various options. You could set up a table on your calculator, but there's no need if there's only two values you need to fill in. What I would do is I would take one of the values, for example, let me take this value, and I'll set up my calculator and make sure that what comes out is 2.5 rounded to one decimal place. And then I know that I've done the right thing in setting it up. So I'm going to put, just in case, I'll put minus 1.5 in brackets, all squared. And then I have minus, and then I have a fraction, 1 over 3 times, and again, this times minus 1.5. Okay, so that should give me an answer, which is 2.5 when we round it to one decimal place. And as you can see, this gives me 2.5. So I know that I'm on the right tracks. Okay, I know I'm on the right track. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to simply just put these values in. So I'll put minus 0.75 in instead of this 1.5. So that becomes a 7, and that becomes a 0. And I'll do the same up here. Okay, so now that should give me the answer, which I have to round to one decimal place. That's 1.0. And then I'll do the same for minus 0.5. So I'll go back and just get rid of this 7. That's minus 0.5 there. And the same up here. Okay, that's minus 0.5 squared minus 1 over 3 times minus 0.5. That gives me 11 over 12, which is 0.9 to one decimal place. So you simply can just use a calculator, and just to be sure, as I said, choose one of the values that they've given you, know the y value for, see that it sets it up correctly, and then just substitute those values in to be sure that you got the right answers. Now we've got to, on the grid, draw the graph of y equals x squared minus 1 over 3x for x values between minus 2 and minus 0.1. As we can see, the positive x values have already been drawn for us. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to plot these values, plot these points here. So we have minus 2 and 4.2, negative 2 and 4.2. Here's negative 2. Now here we see, if we look at the scale here, that's 3, that's 3.5, that's 4. Each one of these is 0.1. For 4.2 is going to be over here. That's 4.2. Okay, so it's minus 2 and 4.2. So it's going to be minus 2, which is here, and 4.2. So that's going to be the first point. And then we have minus 1.5 and 2.5. So minus 1.5 is over here. 2.5 is exactly here. That's pretty simple. And then we have minus 1 and 1.3. So negative 1 and 1.3. Well, this is 1. This is 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. So it's going to be here, 3 squares above. Okay, that's minus 1 and 1.3. You can put dot and circle, or you can put a little cross, but make it as thin as you can. Okay, now the dot should be really small. It shouldn't be like blobs. You shouldn't put blobs here, right? When you're plotting points, you put a little dot and then circle it to make it clear, or a little thin cross. That's what's required when you are plotting points. Okay, so you should keep that in mind. Okay, so now we've got the next one is minus 0.75 and 1. So now this is minus 0.5, this is minus 0.75 and 1, which is over here. And then we have minus 0.5 and 0.9. Minus 0.5, which is here, and 0.9, which is just down here. And then we have minus 0.25 and 1.4. So minus 0.25 and 1.4. That's 1.4 right over there. And then we're going to have here minus 0.1 and 3.3. Minus 0.1. Now this scale is slightly different here. This is 0.25. So this is 0.1. This is 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5. Yeah. So this is one of these, 2 squares is 0.1 here. So we're looking for minus 0.1, which is 2 squares along here, and 3.3, which is 3 squares above 3. So it's going to be right there. Okay, that's the last point. So it's going to go something like this. Okay, so this curve will have this type of shape. Okay, of course, we can see the asymptote is the y-axis with x equals 0. So this is going to get closer and closer to x equals 0 without actually touching it. So to draw this graph, what I would suggest you do in your paper is turn this page upside down. Okay, and then when you turn the page upside down, your palm is on the inside of the inside of the curve, and it's easy for you to draw the curve like when your palm is on the inside. All right, now it's going to be a bit of a hassle to turn this upside down now, so I'll just do this as best as I can. It's not going to be perfect, but you try, and of course you use a thin, sharp pencil, and you just try your best. You make a few trial runs. Make sure that you don't touch the page until you're ready to start drawing. So I'm just going to make a start now. So you're going to go straight down here. Pencil should really be thinner than this. It's the best I can do here. So over here, it's going to take a bit of a turn this way. Then it's going to go upwards. It's going to go through this point and up. Okay, and it's going to go closer and closer to the y-axis without touching it. So this is not too bad. I mean, in the real exam, maybe I'll take a bit more time and try to avoid these sections where you have double lines. Okay, so just doing that to that. It's not bad. It's pretty good. Not too bad. So that's the graph of y equals x squared minus 1 over 3x for x is between minus 2 and minus 0.1. And that's drawn now. So there's the answer to part B. Okay, now for part C, it says by drawing a suitable line on the grid, solve the equation x squared minus 1 over 3x plus 1 equals 0. So we have to use the what's drawn on the grid to solve this equation. So we got to see first what's drawn, and what's drawn is the equation y equals x squared minus 1 over 3x. Okay, so what's drawn is y equals x squared minus 1 over 3x. So we got to use this graph to solve, and what we have to solve is this equation. We're going to solve the equation x squared minus 1 over 3x plus 1 equals 0. So when we have a graph that is drawn and we have to use it to solve an equation, what we got to do is make sure that one side of the equation that we're asked to solve looks like what's drawn. Now we can't change what's drawn. That's fixed. This is fixed, can't be changed. That's drawn. But I can rearrange this equation and reformat it so that one side of this equation will look exactly like that. And I can see that I'm almost there. This is almost the same as that. Okay, this is x squared minus 1 over 3x. The only thing that here we have this thing that we want to get rid of is plus 1, which I can do by taking away 1 from this side of the equation, but therefore I must take it away from the other side also. So when I've done that, I end up with x squared minus 1 over 3x is equal to negative 1. So now this looks exactly like what's drawn. One side of the equation that we have to solve looks now like what's drawn. So now I can simply just draw y equals whatever's on the other side. That's what I have to draw, okay, to help me solve the equation. So when this line, y equals minus 1, intersects with this curve, I'm going to find the solution to this equation. This equation is solved when y equals minus 1 is equal to x squared minus 1 over 3x. And this is the same as this equation, just rearranged. So I rearranged it in such a way that one side of the equation that we're asked to solve looks like what's drawn. Therefore, we can then use the graph to solve the equation. We're not asked to solve this algebraically. We're asked to solve this graphically, right? So that's why you can't just say, okay, let me solve this equation, multiply both sides by 3x, use the quadratic formula, whatever, and then, no, we can't do that because they're asking us to use a line on the grid that we have to draw. So we've identified the line is y equals minus 1. So I'm going to draw y equals minus 1 as a very thin line going exactly through minus 1. On the y-axis horizontally, this is the line, y equals negative 1. And I want to see where it hits the curve. Now it hits it right here. And we can be pretty accurate here because this is quite, a good. So it's slightly to the right of this point, very slightly to the right. In fact, I'm guessing even if you wrote down that it's along this line, you would still be correct. Anyway, let's look at the scale here. This is 0.5, right? That's 0.25. That means each of these is 0.2. 0.2, no, 0.1, sorry, 0.1. Every 2 squares is 0.1. 0.2, this will be 0.3. Okay, this would be 0.1, 0.2. This would be 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, yes. Okay, let me just do that again. Each 2 squares is 0.1. 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. Okay, and this will be 0.4, 0.5, that's right. So this is just slightly more than 0.3. Okay, I mean, if you look at this, you could even get away with saying 0.3. But I'm going to say, let's say 0.31. It's really close to 0.3. If I put 0.31, it's not exactly 0.3. I can put 0.31. Okay, that would be 0.35. So yeah, it's around 0.31. That's, we can be quite accurate here. If I put 0.25, for example, that will be outside of slightly outside. So I think 0.31 up to 0.32 maybe might be acceptable. So that looks, even if I think I put 0.3, they would probably accept that as well because it's very close to it. But I'll write my answer as 0.31. As this graph is already drawn, this line, we've drawn it, and you can draw it accurately. The scale is very good. It's easy to read it quite accurately. So it seems like 0.31 is a sensible answer to write. So there we have the answer to part C. And that concludes this question number 2 from February, March 2022. This, in fact, was a question that was asked by the student who wanted me to answer this question, how to solve this equation graphically. And this is how you do it. If you did this algebraically, then you would lose all the marks. But they're asking you to draw a line on the grid, which we've drawn. Okay, and we identified how to draw that line. And then we draw the line, see where it intersects the curve, write down the x value where they intersect. So other questions from this particular paper can be found in the playlist that will appear at the end of the video over here. Other questions from this topic of graph of functions can be found in the playlist over here. You can subscribe to my channel by clicking on this link. Thank you for watching and see you soon.